Hello everyone and welcome to a WWE Friday Night SmackDown roster tier list. The draft just ended Monday night on Raw. Everybody's on their select brands. There's a few free agents. They won't be on any of the tier lists I do. So no Brock, no Omos, all of them. I'm sorry. They should have chosen a brand. We got our tiers here. We have main eventers, upper mid-card, somewhere in between, lower mid-card, and directionless. Let's start off with the OC. We have AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Mia Yim. Now, AJ, I could put in main eventers, but if we're putting them as a group, I don't know how high they are on the OC and, like, how far they intend to, like, push them as a group. Because the Bloodline and the OC are on the same show, so that's two factions that can, like, feud. Like, they could get a taste of that main event scene. I have high hopes for the OC. I like AJ Styles. I'm gonna put AJ upper mid-card. I don't know about Gallows and Anderson. I would put them all together, but I think I'm gonna put Gallows and Anderson somewhere in between. I don't think they'll be challenging for the tag titles, maybe, like, once, but other than that, they'll just kind of be, like, there with AJ. And same can kind of be said for Mia Yim. I could see her challenging Bianca for the women's championship on SmackDown. I don't see her going higher than that, honestly. I mean, that's just because she hasn't done much on the main roster, but since the draft happened, it's a nice refresh for everybody. But I have way more confidence in AJ Styles doing some world title stuff and important storylines. The OC are just going to be there to kind of back them up and have their own matches, so OC is going to be somewhere in between except for AJ Styles. I think he'll be in the upper mid-card. And now we have a tag team, the Street Profits. They want the smoke. They always get the smoke because they're always in, well, I say always, but actually recently they haven't really been doing too much. They challenged Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. That's like the last big thing they did. I don't want to say upper mid-card. I mean, of the tag division, they're a prominent tag team and they're entertaining. Montez might do his own thing because they're high on Montez. Angelo, if, you know, Montez is off doing his own thing, he might do his own thing, but they'll still tag together every now and then. That's what I would like to see. I don't want to see these guys, like, turn heel on one another or anything like that. So I'm gonna put the Street Profits somewhere in between. I don't know why. I just feel like they're not gonna get the tag titles anytime soon. They're probably not gonna have any important stories anytime soon. So Street Profits are gonna go in somewhere in between. And now we have Asuka. I really would like to see her in the upper mid card. But realistically, that loss at Mania just hurt her so much. She should have won instead of Bianca, even though I like Bianca. The women's division on SmackDown, you know, we got Bianca, Asuka, Charlotte, Damage Control. Asuka's definitely probably among the top of that division, so I'm going to have high hopes and say, maybe not just yet, give it some time, but I think Asuka can be in the upper portion of the women's division on SmackDown. Now we have Austin Theory. I think once he loses that US title, I think they'll want him to be in important storylines. As long as he holds that US title, he's always going to seem like, you know, mid-card feud. Now that he's on the same brand as Roman, he can't have, like, the top prize. And even on Raw, they're bringing in a new world title, so he couldn't have the top prize over there either. Austin Theory, once he loses it, I can honestly see him being upper mid-card. But until that, I think he'll just have a pretty standard title run. I don't think he'll do anything too crazy, which he needs to do something important and make this title run special. That way he can be elevated. But Austin Theory hasn't been doing too much. Maybe after, you know, the whole draft, maybe something will go his way and he'll, like, get some important stories. I don't know. He just feels like he's destined to stay in the mid-card until he drops the title and has, like, that one story that elevates him. And now we have Hit Row, Ashante the Adonis, Top Dollar, and B-Fab. Honestly, I'm not going to be rude and say directionless. I think they'll have a direction. I think they have a place on SmackDown. But they are not going higher than that lower mid-card. You're not going to see them feuding with the Usos, except they're not going to have a feud with the Usos. They'll have a match, but they won't have a feud with, like, you know, the Usos. They'll probably have a feud with LWO. I guess they have a spot here. It's the lower mid-card. I really don't have much to say about Hit Row. And now we have Bianca Belair, first person going in the main eventers category. She's the women's champion. Of course she's going to be a main eventer. You know, Roman's not going to be there. So instead of having Theory as the top champion there, I feel like they're going to focus all that, like, you know, top tier levelness over to Bianca. She's going to be almost in the same position as Roman. It's like, oh, she's had a long reign. Who's going to be the one to finally beat her and, you know, elevate themselves? And that's good. So whoever beats Bianca hopefully gets a good standout performance. But until then, Bianca's going to stay in that main event women's scene. You know, Charlotte might be the one to take it off her. I really hope not, because she's had enough. She's had enough titles. Come on now, take a break, Charlotte. I think Bianca Belair is guaranteed to be in that main event scene, especially if we're just talking about the women's division. But overall, she has main eventer written all over her. And now we have Bobby Lashley. He's in the same boat as AJ, maybe a bit higher. I said in my draft predictions video that I think he's like the next big threat for Roman. Bobby hasn't faced Roman at all since the whole Tribal Chief era began. So, you know, if Bobby's an unstoppable force, Roman's an unstoppable force, have them have a match, I doubt Lashley will win. I wouldn't be mad if Lashley was the one to take the titles off Roman, but obviously that seems like it's Cody's destiny. Maybe he'll finish the story. I think Bobby Lashley has a better chance of being a main eventer and staying towards the top of the card than AJ Styles, only because AJ Styles, not to be rude or disrespectful, is somewhat dragged down by the OC, only because they haven't really built these three up. Mia Yim is good. Gallows and Anderson are good. They're just not on the same level, nowhere near the same level as AJ at the moment. If they get built up, awesome. I would love to see that. But yeah, AJ's probably going to be held down upper mid card. Lashley, I can see being a prominent main eventer over on SmackDown. And now we have the Brawling Brutes. It's going to be another AJ Styles and OC situation where I think Sheamus, top of somewhere in between. Maybe no, I'd say Sheamus is bottom upper mid card. He's already established. He's had banger after banger match. He's had a career resurgence. I think everyone respects the work he's put in. So Sheamus deserves that upper mid card spot. As for Ridge and Butch, it's going to be just like an OC situation. Wherever Sheamus is, they'll be there to kind of back him up, but they won't be at his level. If Brawling Brutes were to break up, then I can see maybe like, if Butch goes back to Pete Dunne upper mid card for sure, hopefully. But Ridge, I don't know about Ridge. If they give him like a nasty like heel, like a monster heel run, I honestly could see Ridge being lower upper mid card, like, you know, like around here somewhere. I think until Brawling Brutes break up, Sheamus has a good chance of being in the upper mid card, but Brawling Brutes are probably going to be somewhere in between. So yeah. And now we have Cameron Grimes to the moon. It's hard to say where Cameron Grimes is going to fit in on SmackDown. He hasn't been on NXT in a long time. I know he's been getting jacked behind the scenes, you know, off camera or whatever. It's really hard to say. In events WWE, Cameron Grimes being called up, he's going to be lower mid-card. I don't see him going anywhere higher. I really just don't know. I want to put him somewhere in between, and I have high hopes for him. But I'm going to be real. I just feel like he'll stay, like, top of the lower mid-card. I don't know why. Maybe he'll have a good match with Austin Theory for the US title. That could be a nice feud for him. Because Cameron Grimes has charisma. Austin Theory has charisma. I don't know. Cameron Grimes doesn't seem like he'll go very far, at least towards the beginning of the SmackDown run. Maybe I'll be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I think Cameron Grimes is talented. Let's hope he goes to the moon. But for now, I'm keeping him in the lower mid-card. And now we have Charlotte. It really varies on her because she's like in that prominent main event women's like spot. And then she goes away for a couple months. But she never seems to have a feud that doesn't involve a title of some sort, whether it's women's tag or, you know, Raw or SmackDown Women's Championship. So you'd think by default I'd put her in main eventers, but because she's always like kind of up in the air, you never know. Like she'll go for it, but then she doesn't stay there very long unless she actually wins the title. I think I'll put her like with Asuka. I hope Asuka has a better showing on SmackDown than Charlotte. Charlotte's already had so much like going on for her. She can rest easy, have some like mid-card stories to tell. Charlotte's a good wrestler. Her and Rhea had a great match at WrestleMania, but Asuka needs it more than Charlotte. But I hope they're in the same spot, as in they're both featured heavily on SmackDown. Good matches. Have her, you know, work with like a Shotzi or maybe hell, someone even in Damage Control. I don't know, but I think she'll be around the upper mid-card area regardless. Now we have Edge. How could Edge not be an upper mid-carder? But he is kind of just like the kind of guy that has a match once every other month. His feuds go a long time, it seems, or longer than they should. I don't know what Edge will do. There's talks of him maybe going to AEW. I doubt it will happen. It'd be cool to see. So I'm kind of confused about Edge. I think I'll put him in top of somewhere in between. I can see him challenging Roman. Edge is going to be top of somewhere in between because I feel like he can be upper mid-card. He is Edge. He's a Hall of Famer. I'd be shocked if he wasn't in at least like one main event or two on SmackDown, but I think he's going to stay in the middle somewhere. So yeah, Edge, somewhere in between. Now we have Grayson Waller called up from NXT. I have high hopes for Grayson Waller. I think Triple H also has high hopes and, you know, big plans for Grayson Waller. I don't think he'll reach upper mid-card quite yet. You know, he just got called up. But he could be right next to the OC and Street Profits and Austin Theory. Everybody in this category is like solid. So yeah, Grayson Waller, he's going to have a great match, great promo segments with whoever he's, you know, in the ring with. And I have nothing really but positive things to say. Soon enough, he'll probably get to the upper mid-card. I could see him winning the US title before the year's over, honestly. And now we have Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. I don't know when this video is going out. Carter and Chance might have taken the titles off of them. I don't know. Who knows what they'll do. I feel like they're going to vacate or like just scrap the women's tag titles for NXT. I wouldn't mind that, honestly. They only need one set of women's tag titles and they can go between every brand. I think that'd be interesting. That way they don't have to deal with like 3 teams per show. I think Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. I don't think they're going to say a women's tag team for long, if I'm being real. So I'd say as a tag team, women's tag teams don't even get featured anyway. I would hope somewhere in between, but I have my doubts. I'll put them with Cameron Grimes because I'm not sure what Triple H has in store for them on SmackDown. Now we have Karrion Kross and Scarlett. I think after this draft, they're going to be built up as more of a threat. Right now, like as it stands, if Karrion Kross keeps going his direction, lower mid-card for at least another year, I swear. But after this draft, it's a nice refresh. I think Karrion Kross might be getting built back up to his big dominant self. Scarlett is only going to enhance that. They work great together. So right now, I'm going to make a bold prediction and say somewhere in between. But if the cards are played right, I could see them in the same spot as Sheamus, as in they're reaching the main event scene, but not quite. But that's only if they get built up properly. But right now, somewhere in between. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if they dropped the lower mid-card, but I have high hopes for them. And now we have Damage Control. It looked like they were going to break up. Io Sky is going to be facing Bianca Belair at Backlash. And, you know, I don't think she's going to win. Dakota and Bayley beat Raquel and Liv Morgan on Monday Night Raw. Maybe they'll get a tag title match. Bayley will say, I think they'll always have something for Bayley. Io is too talented not to, you know, go lower than somewhere in between. Dakota always seems to feel like the odd one out, even though I really like Dakota. So I'd say top or lower mid-card for Dakota if they're all separated, but I think they'll stay together for a little while longer. I can see Io as the breakout of the group. Like, they'll always have something for Dakota and Bayley to do, but Io I can see going upper mid-card. I think I'm gonna stick with that, honestly. I think Io Sky has a better chance of reaching the upper mid-card before Bayley and Dakota, because Bayley's already lost to Bianca several times. Dakota, like I said, seems to be just kind of the odd one out when it comes to, like, big important matches. Like, she's good in the tag matches she has with Io, but I think Io has a better chance of reaching that upper mid-card level than Dakota. I hope Dakota gets there. I hope Bayley stays there, but as it stands now, I think Io is just a tiny bit higher than Dakota and Bayley. And now we have Pretty Deadly, another instance where I'm not sure what Triple H will do with them. They're very entertaining, very interesting tag team. I'm going to put them somewhere in between, but maybe at the lower ranks right here. I think right here's a good fit. I think Pretty Deadly are going to have some funny segments. Even if they don't wrestle a whole bunch, they'll still be like how the Street Profits were when they first got called up. They would do the backstage segments where they, you know, were hyping up whatever show they were on, like Royal Rumble, and they'd be back there just to have a good time and kind of do some promo work. I think Pretty Deadly will be in that same spot. And yeah, Pretty Deadly, I hope they do okay on SmackDown. Lacey Evans, obviously she'll probably chill in the lower mid-card, but if we're being real, unless Triple H can, like, redo her past, like, 3 years on the main roster, she's going to be still directionless. She's healed and face and healed and face. The crowd never seemed to really care for her. I think Lacey Evans is going to be directionless. I really don't know what they're going to do with Lacey Evans. LA Knight. Yeah. LA Knight upper mid-card for sure. I don't know about main eventer. I would love for LA Knight to be in the main event scene. He has the ability to be a main eventer, but maybe not just yet. I'll put him in the same category as AJ, where they'll challenge for the world title probably before the year's up, but they won't stay prominent in the main event scene. They'll kind of just chill upper mid-card, you know. They'll never be a Roman or Bianca title-wise as of right now. But LA Knight, high hopes for him. Nothing but just a giant charisma machine. The crowd seem to love him. So yeah, LA Knight upper mid-card. And now we have Rick Boogs. Poor Rick Boogs. I don't want to be mean, but he's fallen off hard since the Shinsuke Nakamura days. He's doing a thing with Elias. Elias is basically directionless. So what does that mean for Rick Boogs? Maybe he'll like step out of Elias's little partnership, mentorship, whatever they're doing, and maybe be lower mid-card. I can't see him going higher than lower mid-card. He'll probably have like a one-off title match with Austin Theory. You never know with Rick Boogs. I really don't know. I think he's a nice dude. He has a lot of charisma, but I just don't know what's going to happen with him. So I'm going to put him in directionless for now. But even if he has a direction, it's not going higher than the lower mid-card. Here we go. The Bloodline. We got Roman, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy, and Jey Uso. They're main eventers. I don't want to put them, you know, above anybody, but come on now. They're going to stay in that top spot on SmackDown. Usos will main event or be in a featured segment every week. Yeah, there's no stopping the Bloodline. Even when the Bloodline story is over, none of them are going to fade away or fade to like the lower mid-card. Who knows when the Bloodline story will be over? It maybe will never end at this point. But yeah, Bloodline, Roman, Sikoa, Usos gonna stay in the main eventers tier. I mean, what else can you say? And now we have another big faction, the LWO. We got Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro, and Zelina Vega. I think they all have kind of their own separate tiers. Rey Mysterio could be main eventer. I wouldn't be surprised if he had some like important matches every week, but I think he'll stay in upper mid card. As for Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro, they'll stay somewhere in between. I think Zelina might stay mainly as like a manager, but she'll have matches every now and then, like kind of what she's been doing the past few years. Realistically for her, I'd say lower mid-card, like competitor-wise, but obviously with the faction itself, somewhere in between would be a good spot for her. But if we're going based on being a competitor, I would say lower mid-card, especially after this title match with Rhea Ripley. I don't see her challenging like Bianca or anything like that. If she has a great performance, which I know she will, if she has a great performance at Backlash, I can see her being more prominent like in the women's division. But as of right now, I'm gonna say lower mid-card. I really hope I'm wrong though. I really hope she reaches somewhere in between, or hell, even upper mid-card. Her versus Io Sky could honestly be a really good match. And Santos Escobar, I am hoping he goes upper mid-card. I think he could be a good contender for the US Championship. He was a badass in NXT, and if we get NXT Santos Escobar, I can see him challenging Roman Reigns, even if it's just like a one-off, you know, like a B pay-per-view, which, who are we kidding? Roman's not going to be at a B pay-per-view. But, you know, Santos Escobar could be a top title contender if they go back to his NXT days. If not, definitely US title contender. Have him beat Austin Theory. I think out of all these people, if you don't go with like LA Knight, I can see Santos Escobar being the one to take the title off Austin Theory. Especially with the LWO, you know, they're popular. They're selling merch like crazy, I think. And, you know, they're good. They're a group of great wrestlers. And you also have a Hall of Famer in there, in Rey Mysterio. So what's not to enjoy about them? Just because of that, I think Zelina will probably stay somewhere in between in the women's division. So yeah. And now we have Shotzi. I would love Shotzi to be, you know, upper mid-card, having banger matches with people like Asuka and Io Sky. But realistically, I hate to do this, but really realistically, lower mid-card for Shotzi. But I do think after this draft, it'll be a nice refresh for her. I'm going to hold out a little bit of hope, and I'm going to put her in somewhere in between. But if we're really looking at it like, you know, like I said, realistically, I've said it like 4 times now, probably lower mid-card. Hell, maybe even directionless. But I think they'll have something. They'll at least have something for Shotzi. So I'm hoping she's not in the lower mid-card and she's somewhere in between. And finally, we have Who Mina, then Tamina. Let's face it, she's been directionless since like the Team Bad days. Even then, she was like the odd one out with, you know, Sasha and Naomi. She's a good, you know, star on the roster to just have a match. If you need somebody to be like, hey, we need an extra body out there to do something, Tamina's more than happy to just go out there and do whatever she needs to do. Props to Tamina. She's been in the company for almost like 15 years, over a decade, I know for sure. I think 2010 maybe. But yeah, Tamina, directionless. If I had to make any adjustments to this list, I'd say maybe Rick Boogs goes to lower mid card. But I think this is a solid looking list. There's a lot of these people that I am holding out hope for, like a Shotzi and Karrion Kross, as well as people that I think could stay in the upper mid card. This is looking like a pretty good main event scene. You know, Sheamus, AJ, LA Knight, Rey Mysterio. If you build some of these somewhere in between guys up, Edge could already be upper mid card. Grayson Waller, by the end of the year, could be upper mid-card. Austin Theory, like I was saying, once he loses that US title and he has like a meaningful, like important story that does a lot for him, boom, upper mid-card. If Butch goes back to Pete Dunne and full-on, you know, bruiserweight, upper mid-card. A lot of these people have potential to move up, even lower mid-card. You know, Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, they're both great. I can't see him going higher than somewhere in between. But yeah, I think this is a solid looking tier list. I will be doing Monday Night Raw's roster. It is a bigger roster, so probably a longer video there. Tell me your thoughts about SmackDown roster. Who's standing out to you and who's not? I will see you all in the next video. I'm going to be doing Backlash predictions and a podcast. I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet. This channel is just starting to figure itself out. But I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.